Hey there. If you've got a toddler in your life, chances are you've seen something, well, exactly like this. These videos get billions of views. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really going on behind all the bright colors and catchy songs? Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
So, is this just, colorful chaos, a bunch of random stuff thrown at the screen to keep a kid quiet? Or is there something more? Is there a deliberate, almost scientific method to all this madness? That's the big question we're tackling today. We're going to pull one of these videos apart piece by piece and see if there's a secret formula hiding right under our noses.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the foundation. Then, we'll see how they use building blocks to create bigger ideas. After that, we'll check out the engagement engine, how they keep kids hooked. Then, we'll dive into how they make learning feel like a game. And at the end, we'll put it all together and reveal the complete formula.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the foundation. This is the absolute core of how these videos work. It's the engine, the bedrock. Everything else is built on top of this. And it really boils down to two super powerful ideas working together.
Okay, so it kicks off with something super simple. Clap and say, mama. Easy enough, right? But watch what happens next. It doesn't just stick with that. It immediately starts adding layers.
See? Now it's jump and say mama. So they're taking the same word, but connecting it to a totally different physical action.
And then wiggle, wiggle, say mama. Think about that. In, 10 seconds? The kid has heard the word, they've said the word, and they've tied it to 3 different movements. This is not random. So what's the deal? What's the educational principle at play here?
Well, there's actually a name for this. It's called multi-sensory learning. You're hitting multiple senses at once, right? The ears are hearing mama, the eyes are seeing the characters, and the body, the kinesthetic sense, is clapping and jumping. When you do that, you're not just teaching a word, you're wiring it into the brain from multiple angles. It's a really smart, really deliberate strategy.
But that's just one half of the foundation. The repetition is key for sure, but the other half is all about reinforcement. And it all comes down to this one phrase you hear again and again and again. You all deserve a gift. Every time they finish a little task, boom, there it is. And this reward system isn't just one note. It's got layers. First, you've got the obvious stuff, the tangible rewards. A little gift box or a sticker pops up on the screen. Then you've got a constant fire hose of verbal praise. Good job, we did it, you are amazing. And then there's this deeper emotional layer. Phrases like, you are my little shining star. It's this incredibly powerful loop of do a thing, get a reward. It never stops. Okay, so that's the foundation. Now let's move on to our second part and see how they build on top of that. Because these videos don't just throw random words at you. They're actually building complex concepts, brick by brick, from the absolute simplest starting point.
This is a classic teaching technique called conceptual scaffolding. It's like building with Legos. Let's take the ball segment as a perfect example. Step 1, they just introduce the word, ball. Simple. Step 2, they add an action. The ball is rolling. Okay, now it's a concept. Step 3, introduce quantity. 3 balls. Now we're counting. Step 4, add attributes like color, red, blue, and green balls. And finally, step 5, they bring it all together in a task. Put the red ball in the red bucket. I mean, look at that progression. In less than a minute, they went from a single word to a pretty complex multi-step command. That is not an accident.
All right, on to our third point, the engagement engine. And this is crucial. This is absolutely not meant to be a passive experience where a kid just zones out. The whole thing is designed to pull them in, to turn them from a viewer into an active participant.
So think about the difference between passive and active learning. Passive is just watching something, like hearing a song about a boat. But these videos are all about active learning. They don't just play the song, they'll stop and ask directly, can you say boat and then row with me? They are constantly breaking that fourth wall and demanding a response. And one of their go-to moves for this is the call and response pattern. It's so clever. The host asks, can you say X? And then there's this pause, this yes? Yes? It perfectly mimics a real conversation. It creates this little pocket of silence that a child just naturally wants to fill. It's a gentle nudge, basically begging them to speak up. Okay, number 4. This might be the most powerful part of the entire formula. They managed to frame this whole thing not as a boring lesson, but as a fun game. And this quote, this one line just spells it all out. Keep learning and earn more gifts. It couldn't be more clear, right? They're making the game loop totally explicit. The action is learning and the reward is earning. It's basically a transaction. Do the work, get the prize. And if you know anything about game design, you'll see all the classic elements right here. You've got clear tasks, say it with me. You get constant feedback, good job. You even get a feeling of leveling up by collecting more gifts and stickers. And then, just like a game, there's always that push to keep playing. Let's learn again and get another sticker. It's straight out of the game developer's playbook.
This next part is, I think, absolutely brilliant. They even figure out how to handle failure. There's a part where they're stacking blocks, and of course the tower falls over. But instead of it being a bad thing, listen to how they frame it. Uh-oh is okay. Try again makes us strong. They literally gamify failure. They turn a moment of frustration into a power-up. It teaches resilience. That is just wow.
Okay, so we've looked at all the pieces of the puzzle, right? The repetition, the rewards, the way they build ideas, the interaction, the gamification. Now it's time to put it all together and look at the whole shebang, the complete Lucas and Friends formula.
And here it is. This is the secret sauce. It's not just one thing. It's a 5-part engine, and every part is firing at the same time. You've got that core loop of multisensory repetition and positive reinforcement. You've got conceptual scaffolding, building from simple to complex. You've got active engagement through call and response. You've got gamification, making it all feel like a fun challenge. And finally, you have that emotional connection, built through all that constant praise and affirmation. It's the whole package.
So that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? When you engineer content for kids this effectively, what have you actually made? Is this a powerful digital teacher, delivering lessons that are perfectly tuned for a toddler's brain? Or is it more of a digital pacifier, something so hyper-engaging that it's designed to capture and hold attention, maybe above all else? This formula, it works. It really, really works. And that forces us to think hard about what we really want our kids to be watching on these screens. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.